She battled the bookshops to get her own brand of children's books on the stand. Tamarind Books' Verna Wilkins on Make Your Mark. So Verna, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you first got started.
I started about 20 years ago. I had children, young children, and it was a process really. I realized that my children were learning to read in a social vacuum. Their reading material didn't present them at all in any of their early reading. And one incident in particular drove me to change this. My older son came home from school when he was about 5, just coming up for 5, and he had drawn a picture of himself that his teacher had asked the whole class to do. And they had to do, this is me, a little face with the name, this is me, and just to get them started. And he'd painted himself bright pink. And he came home with this picture of himself, and I said, "Is this you?" I was absolutely frightened, because I went into, is this self-denial? What's happening here? He said, "Yes, Mom, this is me." And I said, "But are you that color?" And he said, "No, I'm not that color, Mom, but the teacher gave us all flesh color." So I said, "I've got a brown crayon, we can color you in." And he said, "No, Mom, it has to be that color because it's for a book." I was so frightened, I set up a publishing company. As soon as I could, I didn't start immediately, but I started accumulating information, talking to teachers, looking at what happens to a child who is ignored throughout. The packaging on the toys we buy, the bottle of gripe water has a little blonde child with a curl. The reading books have white children. The books, all the educational books, the library books. I thought, the bookshops, I thought, no, something has to happen. And if not me, who? So I started then, and eventually set up Tamarind as a publishing company. There is a myth about that publishers rejected my work. They didn't. I didn't go to the publishers because I'd already learned from my research that they didn't see books with black children as a profit-making, viable business. And publishing is a business. And we set up this thing. It was an exciting adventure. We had ups and downs. But I'm delighted to say that today we are mainstream.
And what inspired you to think that you could actually do that?
I have no idea what made me think I could do this. With 20/20 hindsight, I look back and I think, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have done it. It was a roller coaster ride. I had so much to learn, and I'm still learning. I had to learn about ISBNs, distribution, printing, illustrating, so very much. But there was so much help because everybody kicked in. I went to schools, I talked to teachers. What do you need? What book would be most useful? What does your curriculum look like? And then, of course, my family set to helping, and they looked for, how do you find an illustrator? And I talked to them. There was a lot of work, a lot of excitement, a lot of mistakes because we really didn't know what we were doing. But it all panned out. And it was just amazing. What a privilege, though, to be able to do what I'm doing. What a privilege. And today we're mainstream, we're in national curriculum, we're on BBC Children, CBBS, our books win prizes. And I'm just delighted that we managed to stay the course. It was always going to be a long, hard road. Now, today, we're an imprint of Random House Children's Books, and that will take it into a worldwide market. We're trying to get the distribution right so we can distribute internationally. That's another phase. And instead of retirement, I've gone into a new phase of development. Because distribution is a problem, and some of the larger bookshops didn't take our books, because originally people would say to me, we don't have any people around here like that. One bookshop in Camberley said to me, there are no people here in this area that look like the people in your books. Now, I said to him, well, do you have to have the people outside in the books? Are the books just for the people that live around here? I thought books were for everybody. And I noticed that you have Gruffalos in the shop window. Do you have Gruffalos around here? And made a joke of it. And he said, no, but these books wouldn't sell here. Why don't you take them to Brixton? So my big hurdle was to make the distribution channels more equal, to get the books into shops. That is still a problem. We still have to continue working with that. But gradually, we're getting there. Every year we go to the Black Hair and Beauty Show. We sell thousands of pounds worth of books every year because we have a captive audience of black mums. And the joy, the excitement on the children's faces and the mums' faces when they see just a mass of beautiful books. The children identify, the parents identify. For the first time, they've seen themselves validated, celebrated beautifully, with dignity.
So you set up Tamarind Publishing Company, which is a diverse book publishing company for children. Can you explain to me a bit more about the full diversity of Tamarind?
What we do is that we give black children a high positive profile. All our books present the main protagonist as black, simply to redress the balance in publishing, right? Because for every book with a black child, there are hundreds of books that are published by mainstream publishers with white children. So what we do is that our books focus on the children who have traditionally been excluded. So, for instance, the book about a boy losing his teeth, we have a black main character, which is the boy that loses his teeth. The tooth fairy is drop-dead gorgeous, black, computer literate, modern, very effective as a female worker. And this is what we do throughout. But we include white characters because we take a global perspective. We include white characters, we include disabled characters. It's an unself-conscious inclusion. We hope to create a seamless celebration of human potential.
And tell me a bit about your training. You actually wrote some of these books.
Yes, well, English is my major. And recently, I've just come back from the Caribbean and I met a teacher, believe you me, one of my teachers is still alive, as my children are quite shocked. Your teachers are still alive, mother. And she said to me that she always kept my writing for my little essay writing for the last because it was interesting. So she knew then that I could write. I didn't know, but I did English, so I know that English is my strong subject. I did it as my major. So I started writing, but I did have guidance. I did go to teachers, ask them about writing. I did read other people's writing. I went to bookshops, went to libraries. I read what the children were reading, and then I wrote accordingly. Some of the early ones were a little bit static and self-conscious, but I learned to write. I went to writing classes as well and learned the technique. And now it's comfortable. It's my life. I write.
You have representational books that refer to children and where they go next in their careers.
Actually, things pan out in a very strange way because this book came out before. One of the books has been out quite a few months. And we wanted black children to see themselves as successful. Success was normal in their lives. So I commissioned a writer. It's my sister, actually. She lives in America. An excellent, she's a comedian, an excellent writer. And her first book was What Will I Be? And this is a book about a little girl who talks about what she could be. And we give her a whole range of choices. She could be an astronaut, she can be anything she likes to be. She'd even be a policeman if they let her wear pink, because she likes pink. And she goes through the whole thing. It's funny, it's enjoyable. We've just sold out the first print run. And then we did one for the boys. And at the time, Lewis Hamilton was just coming on stream with all his great successes. So on the cover, we have a boy in a racing car. So there's a lot of reality in the children. It makes it believable. And it's a range of professions for the children.
And finally, Verna, I just want to ask you, how would you most want to be remembered?
As that crazy old bat who wrote all those lovely books.
Verna Wilkins, thank you very much.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.